So this is really special. You know, they're all special, but this is really special. Anyway, we're here with Scott McGreevy. And Scott, you are from Northern Ireland, if memory serves, correct?
That is correct, John. Yeah.
Okay. And you've been one of our beta testers for a bit, right?
Yeah, I've been testing about 6 months, 8 months, something like that.
Great. So we have this cadre of pioneers and courageous people who test out our stuff. Well, first we do it within our first group called the alpha testing. Then we do beta testing, and we get all the reviews back from our beta testing team before we release it to the public. And not so long ago, we released two tracks, In, Out, and Through, with a guided meditation by Judith Pennington, who is just a brilliant pioneer of brainwaves, mind mirror technology, and meditation. And she has just, she's been a colleague and a friend for years, and I have greatest respect for her. And she sent me these tracks, some guided meditations, and I just listened to them and I loved them. And we've done quite a few guided meditations, recordings, whatnot by this time. And I thought this was really, really special. So some music had come in, entrainment music from Lee Spusta. And I put them together, and it was just, oh my God, it was just synchronicity. The universe opened up and something really good came through. So that's what you were, I guess it was part of your beta testing process, Scott?
Yeah, it was. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I got an email from Scott. It's like, what the heck?
Well,
Oh, yeah. What the heck? Over. And I say that politely. We got on it, and we set up a time to talk. And by then it had shifted quite a bit, and you were just in the experience. And maybe you can talk about the initial experience and up to the time we talked and thereafter, and where you're at with it now.
Of course, absolutely, John. I'd love to. So when it comes to the beta testing, I'm quite unique with it. I'm highly sensitive anyway. I'm a very highly sensitive person. So I know how potent and beautiful the frequencies are and the tracks are, and I know what it does. So because of my sensitivity, I don't just put the headphones on and press play. I test the track in the atmosphere of my home first, and it'll just play for 24 hours a day until I get the sense in the atmosphere of the room of how it feels, and I can adjust accordingly to it. And when I feel ready, then I put the headphones on, and then I press play. So, I love iAwake. I've got great belief in the change that it brings around in human consciousness, brain evolution, and the quality of your life, really, and that's you haven't paid me to say that. That's the absolute truth of it, So, and it is. So I was so inspired that I wanted to support iAwake from here in Northern Ireland, and I thought, how can I do it? And I signed up for the beta testing, and we got from there. And I tested quite a few tracks, and the one that blew the roof off was Judith Pennington's In, Out, and Through. And usually, most times when people sit down to use their track, whatever track you guys are using out there, it'll have its own unique experience with you. You'll press play, you'll have a nice, happy experience, you release some energy, you release some trauma, and you improve. It's just that simple. What happened to me was totally unexpected, very much unexpected. Like you guys, I chose to sit down and press play, put my headphones on, and enjoy the track. On this occasion, I did not expect what happened. I just thought it would be another beta test, another track, another joyful experience. And what happened was that the track In, Out, and Through, it does what it says on the tin quite literally. The expansion of the self is quite literal. So when I pressed play and I eventually put the headphones on and I sat down, and I went through the process and I followed Judith's instructions, and oh my goodness, did I expand. I didn't stop expanding. It was limitless. And what I realized after like the third day, the track usually settles down and I adjust to it and I'll put the headphones on again and we'll go again. But it didn't settle down. It increased. And the intensity increased. And I began having all these insights and all of these truths, you might say. And the first thing that I realized was that when at the most expansive point was that I realized that, oh my goodness, we are the universe. We are the stars, we are the planets, we're the space between. And the thing is, it's not out there, it's under your skin. It's right here. You know, we are the universe. That's that we are the expansiveness of life itself. So that was the first realization. And it was a living experience. It wasn't something that was read, it was right here, right now. Under your skin, that's where it is. And that kicked off a 12-day process of all sorts of fun and games. So I wrote some of them down in order to try and give people a context of what it was like for me. It'll be unique for you guys, but this is what it was like for me. So the realization that the life itself is right under your skin, it's nowhere else. That kicked off about 3 or 4 days of no sleep, being awake constantly for 3 or 4 days, with the body's energies running constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days, constant, which can be draining and very, very intense, but you hold it because you have no choice. If you want to wake up, you're going to have to surrender. That's it. You can't fight this. You can't walk away from it. You are it. So after that, as you can imagine, there was disorientation because the mind doesn't know what's happening to it. It has no cognition of what's happening, and it's trying to figure it out. So there was a disorientation that happened, and consciousness itself, you might say, it exploded through my body. Like from the chest, the heart area, the solar plexus, the sacral chakra. It wasn't chakra opening, it was consciousness coming through like a tornado, coming through the body. Boom, there it was, right there. And at that point, being honest about it, there was days of pain and difficulty and suffering in the body. If you asked me, you know, where did it hurt? It hurt everywhere, everywhere, every inch of the body, internally, externally. The mind hurt, everything hurt. It hurt a lot. So you accept the experience, you surrender to it, you bow to it, and you welcome it, and you love it, and you be grateful for that you're experiencing it. So part of the discomfort was because the ego, my mind, was trying to hold on. It was trying to control the situation, and it did a great job to try and hold on. It fought tooth and nail. At that point, I could see my own ego. I could actually see it, and I could see all of my judgments. I could see all of my doubts. I could see all of my pain, all of the stuff that the ego hides and shows. I could see it all right there in front of me, which was a shock because I wasn't expecting that. Okay. So that went on again for another day or two. At that point, I remembered a quote from Osho. And this was years ago. And what he said was quite profound for me, and it stayed with me for a long time. And what he said was that if you're not happy in your life, you're a danger to yourself and others. So I realized that the intensity of the experience, I was not happy. I was suffering. I was having great difficulty. So I needed to get out. And what I did was I went into the mountains. I went into the beach to be on my own and let the energy do what it needed to do. Let my consciousness do what it needed to do in a space where it was free to do so. I wasn't going to stop it. So that was it. And all of a sudden then, all of the difficulty, all of the suffering, all of the pain, all of the holding on, all of the ego, all of the judgments, the pain just stopped, boom, like that. And the bottom fell out of the experience. And it ended like, you know how a water bubble would pop? That's the speed at which the suffering stopped. That quick, pop, boom, finished, over, no more pain. And the relief then at that point, delighted not to be struggling anymore with it. Then what followed was the cleanest feeling in the world. It felt like I had been so purified, really cleaned from the inside out. Very hard to describe that level. Squeaky clean on a mind level, a body level, an energy level, a consciousness level, all of that. really super purified, you might say. Then it all settled down, and then all the lovely stuff started to come into the experience. And what I then experienced, and remember, this is over a period of 10 days. So this is like day 7, day 8, day 9, was the sense of being connected with your true self. Your true self, what you really are. Consciousness itself is what you really are. All of a sudden, I was it. It was there. Totally harmonized with everything. My mind, my body, my consciousness, all harmonized. All on its own. Beautiful. I felt so contented. I felt supported by life itself, by John and Pam as well, I might add. And I felt supported, and like the whole thing was held in love. That was the support. It felt like the universe was loving me for waking up, you know? The interesting thing was that it felt like I was accepted by life itself. It's like life said, yeah, you're okay. You know, you are yourself now. You're one of us. The interesting thing was that it's continually ever present since then for me. It's always now. You read about it in spiritual books.
Yes,
You know, you hear people talking about it. Yeah, it's the present moment. It's here now. It's here now. That's the experience. It's continually this millisecond, this now, consistently. No future, no past. It's always now in my experience. And that has never left all those weeks ago that happened. The ever-presence is infinite and it's constant, as I've said there. You got to realize at that point that you are that. You are life itself. You are consciousness. You are the universe. It's not separate. You're it. It's right inside you. The little cherry on the top every now and then that I still experience is the waves of bliss that I cannot help. I can't control that. I'll experience bliss spontaneously. And yeah, that's a rundown of the experience, the difficulty of it, the beauty of it. Sorry to go on a little bit about it, but that was the structure of it, John. So, and it's a whole new start now. On so many levels, it's not even funny. I can't even put it into words, you know?
Yeah. Well, you certainly did. And you did it about as good as anyone I've ever heard. So thank you. Yeah, you're very eloquent, and your facility with language is beautiful. I'm tearing up because it's a very beautiful story.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can relate. I can relate. I've had a similar experience when I first started using this technology, and it's just like, oh, what the hell, over? I'm
Yeah.
enlightened. You know, I've been doing this for 3 days. This is ridiculous. And Pam and I, excuse me, we studied transpersonal psychology back in the 80s
Yeah.
in graduate school.
Yeah.
And back then, the thrust of transpersonal psychology was to validate experiences like yours, saying, yes, these are real. You know, starting with William James and the Variety of Religious Experience around 1902 or 3, when there were lectures he gave at Harvard, I think.
Yeah.
And then throughout that, you know, and then finally it's, okay, we got it. We've done the science. It's true. These experiences happen. These waking up experience happens. What the ancients sages were talking about do happen. And it can happen to us. In fact, we need to today, because it's an antidote to fear and hatred, and like you said, being a threat to yourself and others, right?
Yeah.
So
That's it.
Absolutely beautiful. You remind me a lot what Jeffrey Thompson, Dr. Jeffrey Thompson, is a colleague of ours who does the Finder's course to help people go through this process. And some of them get it, some of them don't, but this is just kind of classic when it does happen. So that's
absolutely. And the beautiful thing was that it was totally unexpected. I have a Buddhist background. I've been meditating for 14 years now.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's, to me, it's just before the experience, it's just sit on the cushion, either do traditional practice of no headphones, or put the headphones on and press play to whatever I intuitively feel that I need to use from the iAwake catalog. But this was not expected. This was not expected, I can tell you guys. It really wasn't. It was press play, same thing will happen. We'll enjoy the experience. We'll release something. It'll be beautiful. I did not have this in the planning. That was very unexpected.
well, as a Buddhist teacher, whom I know says, do you want to be a Buddhist or a Buddha?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. So it sounds like you made the shift from being a Buddhist to being a Buddha, you know?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't claim anything. I wouldn't claim anything.
Well, I think that's what he was talking about. You know, exactly it.
Yeah, absolutely. And life since then has been fantastic. And it's fantastic anyway, but now it has a whole new quality to it, you know? And I encourage the people, all the iAwake users, everyone out there, as John says, as Pam says, practice, 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 support each other. The support's there. If needs be, like me, and it's when your whole world's turned upside down because you've woke up, reach out. You know, the iWake team will be there for you. It's that simple. And the profound meditation program on Facebook, there's a whole team there as well that support you. Practice, get it done. Let's wake up, people. You know.
Jesus. Pam,
I'm
you
so
want
passionate about it, though. You know,
to?
it's true.
Thank God. Yes.
You know, and now I'm feeling moved because when I had my opening, it was I was about 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anything. Like I didn't know about Buddhism. I didn't know about mysticism. I was an agnostic at the time.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have kind of a reference for it, and so that was painful and I mean, it was beautiful, but also painful to feel so kind of crazy, you
Yeah,
know.
that bittersweet thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so one of my kind of life missions, I suppose, was to both help people experience these awakenings, but also to be there to help make sure they don't feel crazy like I did. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so when you wrote in and you were talking about what was going on, it tugged at my heart right away because, um, and I had other levels. I had one experience which it felt like a heart chakra opening, and in that one, what you said about meaning being everywhere, I felt like it was like dripping. Anyway, it was just very, very intense, and you know,
Yeah.
you know,
The intensity is very strong. And in the early days before I had this experience, and I have regular mystical experiences. I'm not going to lie about it. I do. But sometimes it can feel like you're losing your mind, and you are, but you're
Yeah.
finding it at the same time. And I used to call it the madness. I would be like, oh no, I've got the madness, you know? So I can identify, yeah, absolutely.
mm,
And it's especially difficult when you don't have a community to support you in experience. You know, when you're all alone, and maybe you've read a little bit about these experiences, you have some basis of knowledge to know that you're not the first one. That really helps. If you haven't ever read that, that's really scary. You know.
Yeah, the support is you can't do it on your own. With Pam not having any idea what was going on, no reading, no context, no format, no tradition to lean on, and that happened. That's gonna be much more difficult because you don't know what's going on, so you can't convey really what's happening either. You know, so well done, Pam.
thank you. Well, it was DT Suzuki actually who
Okay,
really
yeah.
really helped ground me back then, and other it was writings, it was books
Hmm.
that I discovered I'm not crazy, I'm not alone. There's lots, and William James. William James was
Yeah.
super important.
Okay. Good. 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 And that's it. You know, and I encourage people as well to not only use the technology, but read the teachings. They're not just words on a page.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
That's right.
written from a state of consciousness. They're written from a specific state of mind.
That's right.
It's not just a clever writer. That's an experience on page, and it'll take you to a certain point, and then you got to put it down and have your own experience. You know, and there's a skill that comes as well. I used to get a bad time about it, whereas I was trying to describe my experience from reading the books. You know, the teacher described it as this in this book, or it was described as that in that book. It was after a retreat that I had with Loch Kelly in the south of Ireland. I had a 4-day retreat with him, and I had another beautiful mystical experience with him. And it was after the retreat, it was actually during the retreat, that all of a sudden I could put words to the experience. Something just clicked, something just happened. Where before I couldn't do it. I was reading books and trying to use the words that the authors were using, And I would get a rap over the knuckles from it from a good friend. Stop using the words from the books. It's inside you. Put your words to your experience. And I couldn't do it. And after a retreat with Loch Kelly, I did. It just came naturally, and it's never left me since, you know. So yeah, support yourselves. Absolutely.
Now, I have a question about, so how are you grounding and living your life now, having kind of had this turn or shift?
Yeah, really good
Have your
question.
same work and your relation, has it shifted any of those things, work, relationships, things like that?
Most certainly it has. I was with my partner for about 1.5 years, and I knew intuitively that that was over now.
Yeah,
So I had to let that go.
yeah,
It wasn't easy, believe you me, but I knew that to live an authentic, true life, you got to be true to yourself, not your ego, but to your heart, to your consciousness. And you can't live a lie, because that's just going to cause pain.
yeah.
So I had to end the relationship, sadly, but I had to do it in order to move on. I couldn't bring my past into that life into this life. The two couldn't cross over.
Mhm.
So that was the major one for me. Work has become difficult, in a sense that I'm a customer service representative. So I can deal with up to 100 people a day that are maybe crying, maybe stressed, maybe they're having a bad time, whatever the story is. And if I'm super open and hypersensitive,
Yeah,
then they can rock me,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So that takes a lot of practice to just hold them as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And the other thing, a little sneaky thing that I have, because I'm so hyper, can't talk, hyper sensitive with subtle energy. If at nighttime, and watch out for this, at nighttime when I lie down to go to sleep, my body doesn't know if it's meditating or sleeping. It can't really tell the difference. It's the same thing. So I tend to close my eyes. The night passes and I open them, and it's morning time and nothing happens in between. But my energy starts to run, and it just becomes distracting, really.
Mm.
So to keep me earth, to keep me grounded, I got myself an earthing mat
Mm.
that plugs into the wall and stays on the bed, so that any excess energy in my body, any static, anything like that, the mat takes it out. So I wake up in the morning much more fresh now, and
Wow.
not all staticky, you know. So a little tip, if you want to check it out. But
Earthing
yeah,
mat. That's great.
yeah, absolutely. Just to remain grounded, just to keep the feet on the ground, solid at all times, because the experience can still take you away. You know, that hollow internal experience of nothing.
Yes.
I'm still getting used to that. You know, I'll be honest. I'm still getting used to that. There's nothing here. It's a body. There's mind function. I can function about my life, but there's the sense of I isn't here. If I communicate, I did this or I did that. It's literally a way to speak with people.
Yes.
But there's nothing here. But under the skin, it's hollow. It's meat and bones and organs and things like that. And consciousness, of course. But there's no sense of personal identity. That's not really there. Not really. The other thing that I've noticed is that my circle of friends has dropped away. I no longer have the support network that I did in my old life, shall we say. It's the same life, but I'm going to use old life and current life to differentiate. So I had a huge circle of friends and connections and associations with people, and it's all gone.
Mm.
That's all gone. COVID hasn't helped that,
Yeah.
but
Right.
that's all gone. So now, every day, it's Scott. There's no one else there. It's Scott. It's like I'm on permanent retreat in my home, you know.
Yeah, I know the feeling. So how do you practice now? What do you do?
Now, I try to have fun with it now, and I test it. I like to test it by diving in to any iAwake track. During the sale, the Labor Day sale, that was great, man. I filled up on, what did I do? Sleeping Heart. I got that one to try and help me sleep at night, because as I said, my body and brain doesn't know if it's meditating or sleeping. It can't
Right.
tell the difference. It
Yeah.
doesn't know. So Sleeping Heart was very good to try to take me there. Even though there's delta in that, which is beautiful, I can function in delta. I can walk around in the pillowsin. So my brain doesn't really switch off. So that helps me go over. And the other thing, and Pam, I got to congratulate you on this as well, was World Kirtan. Oh my goodness. Wow. Brilliant. I loved it. And I listened to that in the car, at home, when I'm not working. So I have these things just playing constantly. But when I get down to practice, the headphones go on. I sit on the cushion, and it's any iAwake program that I really have access to. At the minute, what did I use yesterday? Is it audio oxygen? Digital oxygen?
Digital oxygen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, using that, and you can feel it, so I'll use a track for maybe 2 or 3 days, and I'll allow it, and I'll monitor the experience, because I keep expecting the hollow cave within, you might say, to fill up again or disappear. Or so I test it with various programs to test it, to see if it's consistently permanent or if it is passing through.
Yeah.
And it's still early days.
Yeah.
It's about 6 weeks now, 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's still very early days. I'm still finding my way with it. I'm still trying to find this new way of existing, really.
Yeah. How to bring your smaller self, which is real, as real as a tree, as a rock, as anything else in the manifest universe, but to do with that with the higher self too. And how's that balance, that you want the higher self to be, basically the senior partner, as it were, but you're still, called into your humanity.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
You're working through that stuff right now. There's an old story about when the Buddha died, his young students were all, weeping, and, they were just distraught because their master had died.
Yeah.
And the intermediate students were all just like this, and all the senior students were just weeping like the beginners.
Yeah.
And the story was that, with advanced practice, you come back to your humanity. You kind of have to learn this greater, expanded, infinite identity, and then bring it back home.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the thing, you are human, and this journey, this path that we're all on is about, it's embodying your divinity in your human form. And it's your humanity, it's your emotional intelligence, your psychological intelligence, all of that. It's be the real human being that you are. And the iAwake technology supports that, creates that, holds that, transforms that. And you might get bumpy patches using the technology, but that's just showing you where you're tied up.
Yeah.
And where you need to loosen, So be human, be as human as you possibly can. Love, kindness, compassion, wisdom. A lady once said to me a few years ago, I used to work with a blind lady who used to bring her guide dog into work. And she said to me one day, she said, "Scott, if we can't all help each other, what's the point?" That silenced me. If we cannot help each other, what's the point? Wow. Wake up. Wake up. Come on. Develop your humanity. Help your brothers. Help your sisters. Help all creatures. Help the planet, Go and look at your news to get a taste of where we are, and use that as a reflection to where we need to go.
Amen. Hey, Scott, it's been incredible. And thank you for your just deep honesty and, your transmission. You're obviously right in it. And
totally, yeah.
Let's be closer. I'd love to hear your progress in your future and, what's going on and how you're working on this. But you're a light in a lot of darkness, and you're where we need to head. We all need to wake up, and that's why we do iAwake, and why we do, like your blind friend said, if we can't help one another, what's the point? Well,
That's
that is
it.
the point. That is the point.
Help each other, support
Yes.
each other. That's it.
Compassion,
Yeah.
kindness,
Mhm.
respect,
You
love.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's what
understanding
it is.
our deep unity in our deep individuality at the same time, and to be able to hold that. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Here. Totally. Couldn't agree more.
Thank you, brother.
Bless you guys. Thank you so much. A delight.
Thank you so much, Scott.
Blessings, Pam. Thank you.